those would affect us as well. But at this time, we are legal. Nothing in your city code prohibits us. We've met every criteria in the zoning ordinance, and we are committed to opening in Port Orange and being a good citizen. And I'll welcome comments, questions.
Bob? Yeah, I basically, my question's going to be a little different, and probably not, I don't have any, I just want you to know my concern. I was reading the Hernando Times. $345,000 in 2008 was paid to the head of this group. That was his salary. Less than 10% is given in charity. And I want you to know the standard for the United Way in this county is 88.5%.
And I'd like to correct you on that one.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Okay, let him finish.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So those are just some of my concerns. And you got to remember, too, I come from a different perspective. I'm a retired policeman, and if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So I do consider this internet gambling. I think it fits all the English language and logical requirements of internet gambling. I'm not disagreeing with you whether it's legal or not, but it is gambling.
Well, and there's a difference. I'm sorry, was he not finished?
Okay.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. Let him finish.
Okay. So
Sorry.
That's my concern. The final concern is I just can, we're a hometown community, we're a family community. You saw all the Boy Scouts here. I looked on the internet at the Gambling Anonymous, and they have over 80 complaints about internet gambling sites. Average loss of $13,000 a year, the persons. And what's really sad, what breaks my heart, these are largely poor people. Average salary of $26,000. I don't want to bring this burden to my citizens. I'm also worried about the hours, and I will be speaking in a minute about that. I want to keep, if we have to go with this, if it's the will of council, then I want to keep the hours to what I call, so the neighborhood, because you're very close to the neighbors there, doors slamming and the like. We need to give our residents, because they're working people and they need time to sleep. So I have concerns about that as well. Those are my observations. You don't have to answer them.
Okay. Let me just Don.
I do have a couple questions for you. Planning Commission.
Questions or comments?
Questions.
Okay.
The Planning Commission asked that you guys meet with the neighbors. How did you do that? Who was there and how did it go?
We did that last Thursday. We sent out a letter of invitation to everyone who spoke and whose name and address was of record. Mr. Berman provided that information to me, and I personally sent those letters. We met from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Booth's Bowery, and we provided dinner and offered those people to come. 5 people attended. I don't know their names personally. I don't recall who they were. It went very well. Many of them, I don't see any of them.
Because heaven knows I got more than 5 phone calls.
It's okay.
I don't see any of the people who
Let's tighten
came.
this up a little bit. Let's stay on subject.
Okay, I don't see anybody who came to that meeting here tonight.
I just want to know how that went, if you did what you're asked to do in that regard. Are the sweepstake games proprietary software?
Yes.
If the sweepstake games are free, why do they have to be proprietary?
It's the software developer that makes it proprietary. The software developer of this particular one is out of Oklahoma. These are software engineers who've designed this, and that's an intellectual property issue where they have the patent on that.
So are they compensated based on a percentage of usage or sales?
They are compensated based on a percentage of use, correct.
Okay. I too read the same article that Councilman Ford did, and
I'm sorry, which article was that?
Hernando County in 2008. I'm on the board of the Salvation Army, and I consider it a great privilege to be able to serve our community that way. And like Bob said, we're very concerned with making sure that dollars we bring in go directly to the bottom line. What percentage of revenues go directly to aiding veterans causes.
I'm glad you asked me that because I would have liked to have responded to Mr. Ford's comment about that. Those numbers are taken from the parent company's tax return, which is public record. That 990 shows those dollar amounts. The problem is that each local company, each local location donates what they bring in. That money never reaches the parent. The parent has costs for the entire state, but they don't receive all the money from the entire state. So when somebody looks at that tax return and makes the comparison that we don't donate that percentage
a tax
amount.
return, okay, let me just stop you right there. I know a tax return on a nonprofit. If I'm showing income as a nonprofit, then I'm not doing my job. So really it's a gauge of a percentage of revenues. How much goes to payroll, how much goes to operations, and at the end, are we paying a lot of inflated salaries to business owners, or are we taking that money and actually going out, and the large amount of money that we bring in is actually going to veterans causes like we're talking about?
All the money goes directly to Allied Veterans. It does not go to anyone else. So each Allied Veterans
You don't know
parent,
what percentage of operation revenue is designated towards those causes?
I know that 100% of its net proceeds, net profits, is donated out.
Well,
100%.
that's different from net revenues. It's like if you get taken $1,
Okay, no,
how many of
I
those
get your
pennies
question.
at the end of the day are you able, after operating costs, be able to put towards benefiting veterans causes?
We have 40 locations. Those numbers are going to be different and individual for every location.
Okay, so as a company,
We don't have a company oversight because there's 40 different corporations.
okay,
Each
it seems
location.
to me that would be something you'd be able to tell. I'd like to know, is it 60 cents on the dollar for every dollar you bring in? Is it 10 cents on the dollar for every dollar you bring in? I mean, that's important to me to know that you're doing what you say you're doing, or are all your costs being eaten up by salaries, and at the end of the day it's a nickel on the dollar that goes to these causes.
Well, I think two things. First of all, even though this is completely off of our zoning application, I do want to satisfy your curiosity because I am very proud of this organization. Number two, when you're looking at how much money comes in and you're saying, let's look at see how much that percentage is. Let's look at how much Allied Veterans has donated, and we've donated over millions and millions of dollars. I think looking at what's actually been given out is an indication that a majority of its money goes back out into these causes, just given the sheer volume of what is actually given. Now, if you're looking at a company that has 40 locations and they're only giving a couple $100,000, I think you can legitimately ask those questions. To a company that's giving millions and millions of dollars, I think that stands for itself. And the second thing is I want to tell you, I can tell you what the expenses are. I cannot tell you what they are per individual location as a percentage to what the income comes in. Because we do have some locations that break even that don't make a profit at all. We have rent. We have software fees to that company out in Oklahoma that is completely unrelated to Allied Veterans. We have employees. We have taxes, we have payroll taxes, we have insurance, we have rent. Everything in there is thrown into a big bucket. And at the end of the day, whatever's left over gets donated back out.
That basically is what, coming full circle. I said at the top that my litmus test is, does this maintain or add to the quality of life? And before I cast my vote, I've got to answer that question. And if we're able to come in and do some good, I'm going to be honest, I don't like but it doesn't matter whether I like it or not. I've got to think about what my constituents, the people who've talked to me like, is this adding or augmenting to the quality of life? And if I can tell them that X amount of dollars, for every dollar you spend, you're going to be able to get X amount